Well, thank you very much for inviting me. Can you all hear me in the back? Um, I'm illiterate in 246 different languages, so Maribel, I've elected to give my presentation today in English and not in Spanish. So those of you who know English, you may have a shot at what I'm trying to say today as part of that process. Tomorrow is our department's holiday party. That's where we stop, recognize all of our great successes. That's what you're doing today. But after today, you start to transform your focus on those of greater need than your accomplishment and gain in the holiday spirit. So transition and celebrate all your successes as engineers. I thank you. We need a lot of you, as you'll see in this presentation. But as we transition into the holiday, transition your mind and soul into those of greater need and get that spirit as we approach the holiday season. There's three things I want to do. I want to touch on the demographics of the region, which are not new to you, unless you're new to our region. I want to talk about the mobility plan for the region, which is the blueprint of transportation projects till 2040. And then last Thursday, our board approved $6.9 billion with a B worth of projects. So I need a lot of help in engineering and construction because we're committing to get these jobs done early. I'm giving this presentation, but I would hope the three district engineers of TxDOT would give the same presentation. The North Texas Tollway Authority, the three transportation authorities, DFW International Airport, or any of my 38 local elected officials that sit on this board. We're one integrated team creating seamless transportation. We wish to be a region of choice. I think the metrics as a region gets above 7 million is to become a region of transportation options, and you'll see that in the remarks today. We've been adding 1 million people every decade since 1960. Think about that, 1 million a decade since 1960. 60 to 70 million, 70 to 80 million, and we're going to do that over the next 30 years. So we need, in my case, transportation, but we need water and wastewater and environmental stewardship and a whole host of other things. So I called up to God and I said, can you give me a picture? He's in the cloud, all the data's in the cloud. Send me a picture of the region in 1950, and then 1960, and then you can see a little more in 70, and then in 80 you can see the region continue to grow out in different colors, and then in 1990 you can see the growth of the particular region. What we did is we took all the census data and brought it down to census block and then re-aggregated it up so we could see what these trends are over time. Out to 2000, you start to see North Tarrant County and all the fights we had to build a North Tarrant Parkway as a freeway. We unfortunately lost that battle. Wish we had won. North Tarrant Parkway would have been a freeway instead of an arterial street. 380 I wish was a freeway. It unfortunately is an arterial, so we're trying to do something about that. As this growth continues, now you see Mansfield and the southern sector grow. You see Collin and Denton taking off. This is 2010. This is the end of the observed data, and now we forecast out, well, there's the 2013. We forecast out to 2040. So my job, a lot different than your jobs, my job is to stand up and act like we're a region of 10.5 million people, because that's what I have to represent. I can't take the easy way out and say, well, it's a little hard to say we need this much right away, or we really, I understand the politics aren't quite right, or I understand, some people don't like toll managed lanes, or someone that really doesn't like bicycle facilities or super streets or great separated arterials. But you know what? We're going to need all these tools in combination. And as the transportation director of a metropolitan planning organization, I need to stand up and advocate for 10.5 million people. 3 million of them aren't even here yet. So let's transition to the blueprint. This is the blueprint, the Metropolitan Transportation Plan that's on It's on the internet. You can get copies of it. If you need executive summaries for your board, I would more than happy to get them to you. Just send me an email. There's a nice, short, what's the market like in Dallas-Fort Worth? It's in this particular plan. It's not just about infrastructure. It does include goals and where driverless vehicles are going and how we're going to have to create an infrastructure that talks to the vehicle. We're doing the first project where we're going to capture communication of digital information to our traffic signals and put it inside the car. So when a car is waiting at a red light, the owner of that car knows when that traffic signal is going to turn green, and it creates an opportunity for us to modernize the traffic signal system. If there's one thing you should get from my remarks today, is to create system. An engineer is trained in system. We're trying to create a system of transportation projects and policies in the region. When Maribel was district engineer in Fort Worth, we would always talk about it's up to us to build the hard projects and take the hard position. And if we have to find additional money to do it right, or not to have a throwaway project in our construction, we got to be the ones that work together to create this particular system. Under federal law, HB 20, House Bill 20 with Representative Simmons wants more transparent metrics in project selection. So we have done that in this plan, and we've done this in the $6.9 billion worth of projects funded last Thursday. And under federal law, we have to have a federal process that can respond to investments that the national government wishes to make. Here's how the plan is put together. We obviously focus on infrastructure maintenance and then operations to do things most cost effectively, and then work with our local governments to create mixed-use developments and walkable communities. Then we advance the rail system and the transit system. Then we advance the managed lane system, and then last, we advance the freeway system. And some of you might say, well, Michael, that's backwards. You should be advancing the freeway system first. But we are in a non-attainment area for air quality, and under federal law, you have to do absolutely everything you can conceive of before you advance the freeway system. However, even advancing everything we can think of, we got $43.4 billion in the freeway system and $37.4 billion in the maintenance of that infrastructure system. Yes, there's a diversity of all modes, but in the picture between now and 2040, the roadway and the car are still the dominant investment in this particular plan. More and more, you folks are working on a network of bicycle and pedestrian. Safety is going through the roof in a lot of modes, very fast in bicycle and pedestrian safety. The automobile, even though the fatality rate is turning back up, is still at about 1/3 the fatality rate of a bicyclist. So as we get more bicycle and pedestrian activity, just think of the physics of this. We got to think outside the box on how we're going to design facilities for the pedestrian and the bicyclist. We still wish to advance additional rail corridors. There isn't enough right-of-way to move everyone by car. You have young people who wish not to get their driver's license and live in a more walkable community. The theme, again, this is a region of choice. This is the future rail system of the region. These are the major roadways. We are keeping to the people that came before us and creating a gridded system of thoroughfare and freeway elements. I am looking at, for example, a tunnel underneath Northwest Highway, for example, between Central Expressway and Dallas North Toll Road. If you picture the distance from downtown to Northwest Highway in your area, that's the same as the distance between downtown Fort Worth and what? Interstate Highway 820. Northwest Highway wasn't built as a freeway, yet Northwest Highway behaves like a regional facility. More than 50% of the people on Northwest Highway north of downtown have no interest in using any of the land use on Northwest Highway. They're using it as a regional facility just like they would a freeway facility. So we got to think outside the box to advance those roadways. Arterial systems, you got to get to and from freeways. This isn't all of them. This is just the major ones. And here's some of those additional studies we're doing. More people will move to Collin County in the next 30 years than live there today. Think about that for a minute. More people will move to Collin County in the next 30 years than live there today. Think of the environmental stewardship, water, wastewater, transportation, schools, system integration that has to occur. So you're seeing sort of these big arrows about how are we going to possibly build a gridded system in Collin County. And then those arrows I showed you before, a tunnel underneath Northwest Highway, this is some of the early planning work that'll eventually get into engineering, and then eventually into construction, to build these projects. Here's the picture of the future. Senator Nichols calls these the Dallas-Fort Worth blob maps. We call these the congestion thermal maps. So upper left, this is today. There's an aggregate impact of $10.7 billion worth of congestion and where it's located. If you look at the bottom right, if we all went home and played golf for 40 years, this is what the region would look like, $44 billion a year. And by developing a system of projects, we can eliminate $15 billion a year in congestion. Congestion will continue to grow in the region, meaning the revenues are not keeping pace with the demand. But we can certainly mitigate congestion by using our head and building a system of transportation projects. The final topic is what happened last week at the Regional Transportation Council. You as voters voted the last 4 years on propositions with state revenue. Those revenues and propositions have translated into the legislature funding money, and the Texas Transportation Commission last summer developed funding allocations for all parts of the state. So our state got $6.9 billion. It's a responsibility of our office, working with TxDOT districts and working with the commission on where these items go. So I'm making a joke, but I can't make a joke because you guys are always so serious. I was going to tell you, you get continuing education credits on this slide, but I don't want to be reported to the ethics element of the professional engineers if I use the joke continuing education credits if you're really not going to get continuing education credit. So to get into the weeds just a little, Category 2 projects are projects that the Regional Transportation Council, or MPOs across the state, in our case, $3.42 billion was selected by the Regional Transportation Council last Thursday. Category 4 projects are connectivity projects, urban portions of freeways that connect to rural portions of freeways, 380, 75, 10, 20, 30, 45. The district engineers select those projects. In our region, $1.53 billion is going to the urban portions of those statewide connectivity projects. And the commission picks $2.03 billion. We obviously aren't the commission. They've asked us to come up with a candidate list of projects of what that would be. So we have $6.9 billion selected. Final approvals by us, final approvals by the district engineers, and a straw man for the commission that they will hopefully approve in February. There were 3 paths to the selection. Projects under construction that we didn't have enough money to fully fund, DFW Connector, 183 managed lanes, 35E managed lanes. Category 2, brand new freeway projects. Since these are Prop 1 and Prop 7 monies by the voters, we wanted a new network of projects to be environmentally cleared and built. And then Category 3 is arterial streets on system. Under current law, these monies that were allocated to us are all on state rights of way. Here's the process. Bucket A is projects currently under construction. Bucket B is new freeways. These need to be environmentally cleared and designed. Bucket A doesn't. That's money that can go to the contractor right away. And Bucket C is new arterial streets that have to be environmentally cleared and designed and go to construction. We ended up with 38% of the money in Bucket A. That's a nice number to me because it jumpstarts projects. So if the legislature wishes to spend money soon, Those monies are already under construction. We can build later phases. Bucket B, almost half, 43%. This is brand new environmentals, design, construction that has to occur on the new freeway components. I like that because I always want our region prepared to build big projects and have them ready to go. Why? Because we have a president-elect who's sitting there thinking about infrastructure. I want to get these jump started, so if the national government changes its tune on transportation funding, our region will be ready. In bucket C, new projects funded with regard to arterials. So I have a 3x3 9-cell matrix. One is existing construction, new freeway, and new arterials to be selected by our office, district engineers, and the Texas Transportation Commission. This is the filter we used. We looked at all the future demand, where the most of the demand was on the system. You had to be on these set of projects. Yellow is existing under construction. Red are new high demand freeways. If you didn't make it on this list, you didn't get new money as part of this process. We wanted to make sure all of our thoroughfare street projects, we superimposed their selection. We already knew that from a benefit cost ratio they were good, but we superimposed them on our congestion maps to make sure they're co-located where the most congestion is. And this is the distribution of the new projects. It doesn't look like system to you, but for example, if you look at, in Tarrant County, I'll give you an example, 820 on the eastern side of Fort Worth, the I-30 interchange is done, north of 30 is funded, the old 820 section between Fort Worth and Arlington is not funded, and the Interstate 20 merge with 287, long bottleneck, that is now fully funded to move forward. In the east, you had us improve Interstate 635 and Mesquite. Then we jumped to 635, the toll managed lane between 75 and 35. Now we're coming back to do 635 between 75 and Interstate 30. That section is funded in this process. I want to stop there. I want to strongly encourage you to continue to mentor and integrate young people into the organization. I'm proud to see so many young people here. When I chaired the Transportation Research Board for the Academy of Sciences, we integrated a young program. Our legacy is not just what we do in infrastructure, but it's what we do in our organizations like you're doing here today, what Maribel has to do in mentoring in her organization. We got to increase the diversity of our staff and our engineers. We got to increase the age of them. And if you still have the energy at the end of a 60-hour week, knock on that high school door like I have and advance science, technology, engineering, math in the school system. We will never be able to build this infrastructure if we don't have a legacy of technical people to be able to design, create innovative financial solutions, and construct these particular projects. I want to thank you very much, a colleague organization inviting me for lunch today, and please celebrate today and then transition during this holiday season for those of greater need than ourselves.